Welcome friends to another r/idontworkherelady video. As always, if you enjoy these videos and you want to help me out, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And our first story of the day is by DragonGhost42. My, how the tables have turned in this restaurant. I used to work at a fast food place similar to Chipotle but not Chipotle. There was one regular customer, we'll call her Karen. Karen and her family always ate in the restaurant, made a huge mess, would even say to her kids, "Don't worry, they get paid to clean your mess." Whenever she was done eating, she would make a fake complaint just to get free food. The franchise owner of the store just didn't want trouble, so he always refunded her. I quit the store about 1.5 years ago. The other day, I went there as a customer. Some of the people who I worked with still work there, and as I sat down to eat, Karen walked in and I sighed. As always, she brought her family. However, today was different. Today, they were out of a particular sauce that happened to be Karen's favorite. Karen, of course, got mad. The owner wasn't in today, by the way. I don't remember exactly word for word the conversation, so I'm paraphrasing here. But Karen said, "This is an outrage. How do you not have my favorite sauce? Get me your manager." The manager says, "We apologize that we ran out. We'll have more tomorrow when our truck order comes in." Karen says, "But I'm here now. This is why you guys suck. The food is terrible." I say, "Well, Karen, why do you come here then?" The Karen looks at manager and says, "Are you gonna let him talk to me like that? Fire your employee." I smile and say, "I don't work here anymore, Karen. I quit 1.5 years ago. I'm a customer today, and I'm going to say something that everyone here has wanted to tell you forever. Freak you, Karen. You cause everyone here more stress than any other customer that walks in that door. Freak you." At this point, Karen has a shocked look on her face, and her family leave. All of the staff laugh and thank me. Hopefully, she'll never walk through that door again. Yeah, I know it's immature, but I know what it's like being on the other side of the counter, dealing with crappy customers like her. Let me ask you guys, if you knew a person was particularly bad, maybe you saw them mistreating the employees or just not having good regard for the place they're eating at, would you have enough confidence to walk up to them and say what OP said to this Karen? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by Long Live Dodos 934. We both don't work here, lady. This happened years ago when I was picking out my dress for my high school graduation. For a bit of a background, when I was little, my family was poor, so we thrifted like everything, and then when we weren't as poor, it was a habit, so I never really been shopping, and I didn't know the rules around anything. I took a friend with me and we went to a relatively nice store for my dress, which happened to be very busy that day. I used to be extremely skinny. The dresses on the racks were mostly mediums with some smalls, and I only fit an extra small at this point. After I tried a couple of dresses on, I realized that the only ones that would fit me in the store were the sample ones that were displayed on the mannequins. Now, I'm super paranoid about breaking rules, but there was this one dress on a mannequin that was just a torso on the hanger. I didn't know if people were allowed to touch them, but me and my friend figured that since it wasn't a full mannequin with limbs, we could easily put it back and not be a bother to the very busy store employees. So I start undressing this mannequin, and as the dress is almost off, someone taps me on the shoulder and goes, "Excuse me?" I'm startled, so I drop the mannequin as I turn around. I manage to grab it by the boob before it hits the ground. This lady's staring at me as I'm just groping this mannequin and freaking out, because I thought she was an employee who had caught me breaking some sort of sacred mannequin rule. I start blabbering about how I swear I'm not doing anything weird and I'll put it back, I promise. I'm just skinny, so I needed a smaller size. And the lady starts laughing at me and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, honey. I thought you were working here because you were holding the mannequin. I just wanted to see if someone could let me into the fitting room." At this point, I'm colossally embarrassed. This lady's pitying me, and my friend is laughing her butt off. I apologize for confusing her and being weird. She assured me she did not have the authority to evict me and found an actual employee to let her into the fitting rooms and to help me find an appropriately sized dress. The employee also laughed at my predicament before finding me a very nice dress, which ended up not being the display dress, so all my suffering was for naught. At least it was a funny incident, so hopefully anyone who reads this gets some joy out of my teenage awkwardness. You know, I don't actually know the rule. Is it actually socially okay to take the clothes off the mannequin if you want them and they fit you? Like, are those for sale? I'm actually curious. I actually don't know. Our next story is by BellzellaIdeal 392. I don't work here encounter gave me low-key image issues. I wasn't really top of my class in high school, which was some small average school, but I was smart enough to get into a top-tier university in my country. Now, this place was a huge culture shift for me. Granted, I met some brilliant, kind people who are still my friends 6 to 7 years later, but I also encountered lots of privileged rich kids who were probably just legacy admissions. This happened in my freshman year. I'm not from a poor family, but compared to some of these kids, I may as well be. I didn't really care about the way I dressed before. My university doesn't have a very formal dress code. You can show up in a t-shirt or something like that, so long as you aren't showing so much skin, and if the shirt doesn't have any profanity or vulgarity. So naturally, I would wear a lot of t-shirts and leggings. They're cheap and comfortable. Now, a lot of other students wear nicer things, branded shirts, polos, khakis, and loafers, that sort of look. I had a lot of unpleasant encounters with a certain type of student, if you know what I mean. Months after orientation, when I was heading to class in my joggers and a university t-shirt, coffee in hand, some wild dude bro in a "my parents are rich" outfit literally runs into me from behind. Like, how do you not see someone in front of you? As he ran into my back, I spilled my coffee all over my clothes. He sees this, he slows down, takes one look at me, and keeps going his merry way. He even shot me a look like I was inconveniencing him for some reason. Another time, in the university parking lot, I witnessed some other entitled student in his brand new Audi straight up run over another student's foot and just drive off. But now for the I don't work here story. One day me and some friends, were at the mall next to the university. We were in one of those specialty sports shops that sell expensive jerseys and sports equipment when this other random student, he was wearing his ID card, sprints over to me and just suddenly starts talking to me. I'm really introverted, so this took me aback. He was in the stereotypical "my dad is rich" outfit, branded polo, khaki shorts, and loafers. He's asking if the shirt he has in his hands is original and if the price is final. I just say, "I guess so." He made a face like, "That doesn't sound convincing." He then asks if they have any other sizes and where he can change. Then it clicks in my head. I don't know, man, you have to ask someone else. I don't work here." He seemed surprised and made another disgruntled face and just walked away. No apology or further contact. I think that was the first time I began to realize that how you dress really affects the way people treat you. I don't know how to describe it. He wasn't overtly rude or angry when he talked to me, but he just sounded so bored and uninterested. Like he was only giving me half attention and speaking to me was some sort of chore. It was really demeaning. The scowls and angry looks are just the icing on the cake. I mean, these small encounters added up in my head, and I tried wearing slightly more presentable clothes by my second year. I mean, I know that all of those anecdotes I shared are the fault of the entitled brats, but I was just so sick of seeing it and having it happen to me. I mean, to this day, I worry about how I dress because of those students. I graduated 2 years ago, but these freshman encounters still affect the way I see myself. Maybe I'm being sensitive, but the messed up part is dressing well actually did solve the problem. There were times where I would be mistaken for a professor. I worked as a research assistant in my spare time, so maybe some of those students thought I was a professor because I hung out with professors and did some professor work. When people would bump into me, they'd apologize. It sucks how people treat you based on the way you dress. I hate this mentality because I don't really care for nice things. There was a time I used to because of university culture, but that mentality is so tiring and I don't know how people can enjoy it. I just try to look presentable now. Nothing fancy, but I still randomly get anxiety that someone will literally run over my foot, verbally berate me, or laugh at me in public. This last one also happened in freshman year, but I don't want to share the whole story because they think they're rich enough to do so. It's exhausting. It definitely sucks that the clothes that you wear lead to somebody estimating your worth to society. And it's not like OP's out here wearing some extreme, larger-than-life eccentric outfits. They're talking about wearing leggings and a t-shirt. It's definitely exhausting to be treated the way you're treated when you wear clothes like that, but it's also exhausting to allow yourself to play that charade and fool yourself into believing that dressing up the way you do is what you want to do. It's definitely one thing if somebody runs over my foot and dips because of what I wear, but bottom line, I try to just not care at all what people say or think. I'm gonna stick to what's comfortable because that's what I want. And if you're gonna judge me because I'm comfortable, then from my point of view, you can go kick rocks. This next story is by CertifiedHoodClassic. Angry man freaks out when he has to pay a ticket that I had nothing to do with. A little bit of background information. This happened a few weeks ago, but I just found this subreddit and I thought this story worked perfectly for here. I work as a tourism counselor in a small town in Canada, situated near a national park. We share a building with Parks Canada so that they can provide information about the park, and we can give information about the town. National parks have an admission fee, and if you don't pay the admission fee, you receive a reminder that you need to pay. If you don't pay, then the reminder turns into a ticket, gets sent to a collection agency, and you have to pay a larger fine. I'm able to deal with these tickets at my desk, in case of it getting too busy at the park's desk. This does not mean I have anything to do with these tickets. Let the story begin. It's 5 minutes before closing, and I'm getting ready to shut down when a clearly distraught man comes storming up to the door, holding a ticket in his hand. He gets to the door and realizes he doesn't have a mask, still required in Canada at the time. He goes back to his truck to get a mask and doesn't even put it on when he enters. My desk and the Parks Canada desk are situated across the room from each other, and Parks Canada's desk is closer to the door. So typically people would go to the Parks desk first, but of course, since I'm writing about this now, this gentleman came storming right up to my desk, yelling about his ticket. When he gets to my desk, he throws the ticket at my face, which ends up being a critical hit and leaves me at low HP. He then proceeds to let me know that he was going to throw the ticket out, but his girlfriend had convinced him to pay the fee. Keep in mind, this was only $10. I ask him the required questions so I can charge him the correct amount, and he starts yelling, saying, "I've been coming to this park for 15 years and I've never had to pay an admission fee. This is BS. He asks how long we've been charging people to enter national parks, and I lean over so I can see the person at the park's desk who should be dealing with this lunatic and ask her how long. 1984, she says. This nice gentleman decides that me and the woman working at the park's desk are lying about this and gets fed up. After yelling at me a little while longer about how stupid I am and how I shouldn't be working this job, he throws a $10 bill at my face, draining the last bit of HP I had, and storms off. The woman working at the park's desk proceeded to thank me profusely for dealing with him, as she should have been the one dealing with him. Sometimes we all have to make sacrifices, and in this case, OP was the $10 fee martyr. And our final story of the day is by ParadigmSized, Vendor Forgets Who I Am. I reported an issue with our third-party supplier who handles an air reservation system. They were experiencing an outage, so our website was unable to process air requests. I called them up on the phone bridge to see if there was an update in the outage, and I get the manager. I've spoken to this manager before, and she was always friendly and helpful. This time, it was different. I could hear the stress in her voice. "Do you have name of code?" I forget exactly what she was asking for, but I was confused. I never had to supply that information. Normally, I would report an issue and supply logs from our error file. I say, okay. Where do I find that? She got huffy and said, "You're a tech, you should know where that is. Talk to your lead if you don't know where that is." Okay, I meekly answered before hanging up. I go back to the logs and look for what I think she's asking for. I finally find the info I think she's looking for and email her back. I asked, "Is this what you're looking for?" A few minutes later, I get a phone call. It's the vendor manager. She starts by saying how sorry she was for our earlier conversation. Yes, that is exactly the info she was looking for, but she thought I was one of their junior techs calling into the phone bridge. She was extremely apologetic about bossing her customer around. I said no worries. I was able to get her the info she needed and a fun story to tease her with whenever I called her up. I just kind of hope that this is a bit of a learning lesson for them, because regardless if it is a junior tech calling them or a customer, it just goes a little extra way to just be a good person. Like, even if they're being annoying or being a bother, it's kind of like just get over it. Why do you gotta have to act so uptight, stressed out, rude? To be fair, I can't imagine to begin what responsibilities they were doing, how much stress there was. But from my perspective, it seems like it would just be so much easier to just try and be polite and move through things as fast as possible without just being passive-aggressive or a jerk. And if they did that, they wouldn't have embarrassed themselves and had something that they now have to be reminded of every time OP calls back. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel, and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.